For more, let's bring in former Pentagon official and senior research fellow at the Heritage Foundation, Brent Sadler, and former US Secret Service officer, emergency response team at the White House under the Bush and Obama administrations, Barry Donadio. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Now, you heard that soundbite earlier, the president telling the press that there may be a deal. A deal for Gaza. This is going to be discussed on Monday at the White House. Brent, your initial thoughts to this?
Yeah, I mean, the question is, how does Hamas react, and does that actually derail the whole effort? And I think as Israel, the IDF is currently engaged in operations in Gaza, I don't think that slows. In fact, I think Hamas is probably going to become irrelevant in the very near future, and that opens the door for a new approach, and that's really what's needed, a new approach that involves partners through the Abraham Accords. It's a new tool, a new diplomatic lever, and maybe something that the Israeli people can accept and certainly the Palestinians need.
Yeah, but let's talk about the deal a little bit, Barry. How likely do you think Netanyahu is to accept the deal, and how likely is the other side, Hamas? I mean, do you think they would actually follow through with the president's demands?
I agree with Brent. You know, everything he said was correct. You know, this rests on the dismantling of Hamas, bottom line. They're going to have to cease to exist as an armed militia and no longer be in politics, at least in Gaza. So I don't see this coming to a termination until that happens and Israel gets its hostages back. But, you know, Hamas doesn't really hold any cards anymore. And like Brent said, they don't really have any significance in this negotiation because Israel's going in regardless. They're going to go into Gaza City, and they're going to do what they need to do to get the hostages back. So I think at this point, Hamas has a choice. They can give the hostages back and negotiate being alive, or they can fight this, and which we know the other result. And then also Gaza City is literally going to be leveled while the Israelis are trying to find the hostages.
Interesting. Now, Brent, this war, we know it is coming up on its 3-year anniversary. We've heard of past deals and ceasefires, certainly, but those have barely lasted, 24 hours. What's going to be different here to suggest that this will actually, that the warring sides would actually follow through?
Well, I think the big thing is the biggest benefactor to a lot of these groups is Iran, and it's been knocked back on its heels. The fact that Hezbollah and the Houthis are largely neutered or neutralized is another important factor that gives Israel more diplomatic and military freedom. And Hamas, of course, has been decimated, but still unrelenting. But again, their reach has been greatly constrained. And again, the most important is the change through the Abraham Accords and the fact that many Middle Eastern countries view Israel as a potential economic as well as a diplomatic partner as they deal with the dangers of Iran. And what we're seeing now is a new Cold War. It certainly is not a continuation of the past, confrontation and resistance to an Israel that probably just wants to see a better future for themselves and certainly doesn't care if the Palestinians do the same as long as it doesn't threaten Israelis.
Yeah, let's talk more about Bibi's address at the UN, where he is, look, he's a seasoned diplomat and is incredibly good on the world stage and is captivating in the way he delivers his addresses. One of the things that he does like to use to really get his point across is comparisons for the rest of the world to see how they would feel if they were in his situation. And this is one that he made. Take a listen.
Giving the Palestinians a state 1 mile from Jerusalem after October 7th is like giving Al-Qaeda a state 1 mile from New York City after September 11th. This is sheer madness. It's insane, and we won't do it.
So Barry, when you hear, stuff like that, do you think that, this is a political thing to say, but of course, when you've got the rest of the Western world now supporting and saying that they're declaring a Palestinian state, do you think giving comparisons like that is going to have any effect on how they move forward here?
Very compelling speech, and that was a high point for me when I was watching it. And Benjamin Netanyahu is brilliant. He speaks English perfectly, and he's saying things in a way that us Americans can understand and put it into terms the way Israel thinks. So, I don't want Al-Qaeda 1 mile away from New York, just like they don't want that. So I agree with him. And, you know, there's another thing. We have a lot of these nations that walked out on his speech, wouldn't even listen to him. There's no mention of the hostages by any of them. It's a new sick phenomenon, really, that they've been infected with as far as, well, we're just going to dismiss that Hamas is holding hostages and this is all Israel's fault somehow.
Yeah, it's just, no matter where they go, whatever angle they take, it doesn't seem to be going in their favour, ever. But anyway, Brent, Barry, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate having you on.
Thank you.